Hey y'all, welcome to Triple C, Candace's College Cooking, where I have the privilege of teaching you, the 20-something crowd, the basics and hacks of cooking, as well as how to create restaurant-worthy meals to impress your friends, your roommates, or even a date. Today, we're gonna make pie, okay? We're actually gonna make the pie crust. I know, when I was your age, kind of intimidated, didn't really want anything to do with pie because pie crust seemed hard. But I'm gonna give you a foolproof recipe. My mom has been using this pie crust recipe for, I don't want to say 100 years because she's not that old, but a long time, and it works fantastic. And what we're gonna do, what kind of pie are we gonna make? We're going to make Blackberry pie. My husband loves Blackberry pie, so that's what we're making. We're having some people over tomorrow for a little pool party, and I'm gonna show you how to make a super festive Blackberry pie. All right, we're actually gonna throw a few blueberries in there too for good measure. So what you're gonna need for the pie crust, you need 3 cups of all-purpose flour and a teaspoon of table salt. You don't wanna use kosher salt, you really wanna use table salt if you have it. And I actually put a tablespoon of sugar in here, okay? So put that in your food processor, or if you don't have a food processor, you know, it's actually gonna work for us. Is we're gonna use room temperature butter, all right? Because, you know, you hear all these, shows about how we're gonna grate this butter and we're gonna use all this cold butter. Trust me, we're going to refrigerate the dough after we make it, after we, blend it up, and it'll be cold. The butter will be cold. So you want 3 sticks of butter. Again, I know it sounds like a whole lot of butter, but it's worth it. You could substitute Crisco if you wanted to, or margarine, but I really like the taste of butter, so butter it is. All right, put my 3 sticks of butter, my 3 cups of all-purpose flour, my teaspoon of table salt, and my tablespoon of sugar. And I'm gonna give that a quick blend, a quick few pulses here. To the flour mixture, we're gonna use a tablespoon of white vinegar. We're gonna add that. We're going to use 1 egg. And again, I don't crack eggs on camera. All right, and let's give that a little pulse. Now, you're going to add between 3 and 5 tablespoons of ice water. So just get some ice, add some water to it. It has to be super cold. You don't want to get the ice cubes in there though. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's just scrape down the sides. And we'll let it go again. Let it keep going until it goes to like coarse sand or wet sand. That ball's about coming together. All right, I think it's good. Now let's just turn this out on a piece of wax paper. Make sure you have wax paper. Make sure and get every little bit out. And then with your clean hands, just bring the dough together. We're going to cut the dough into 2 pieces. I have a bench scraper, but you could use, a knife if you didn't have a bench scraper. And then we're gonna take one of these and put it on a piece of wax paper, and then the other one on a separate piece of wax paper. We're going to roll this into a bit of a disc. Actually, you can make it kind of round. Fold it up, and we're gonna put it in the fridge for about an hour, at least 30 minutes. I'll get the other one done, and I'll be back to show you how to do the filling. So the last time I made this pie for my friends Anna and Brian and Todd. I thought it was super dry. And so I asked my mom, hey, you know, what do you think about this? Because she makes fruit pies all the time. And she said, why don't you try cooking half of your berries on the stovetop first? So what we're gonna do is I've got about 2 cups of blackberries and about 3/4 of a cup of blueberries. All right, we're gonna put that in a saucepan. I have another 2 cups of blackberries here, and we're just gonna put them aside for now. To my blackberry and blueberry combo here, I'm gonna add the zest of 1 lemon. I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of almond extract. If you don't have almond extract, that's okay. You can use vanilla. But almond, I love the taste of almond extract. And then about, let's say a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of cinnamon. And look, if you're buying cinnamon, if you can find Saigon cinnamon, it's so much better than just plain cinnamon. Really, really good stuff. So go with that if you can find it. And of course, if it's affordable. And then I'm gonna add a half a cup of regular sugar. And we're just gonna bring this to a simmer over medium heat. The berries will start to burst. I'll come back and tell you about how long that's gonna take. Oh, and I almost forgot, the juice of 1 lemon. So I'll juice that, get it in the pan, and be back shortly. So I'm 100% queen of forgetfulness today. We also need to add anywhere between 3 to probably 5 tablespoons of flour or cornstarch, interchangeable. I'm gonna use flour. I'm gonna use 3 tablespoons because again, I kind of like a juicy pie. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna add about a tablespoon to our berries that are just sitting over here on the side. And then the other 2 tablespoons I'm gonna add to my berry mixture that is cooking on the stove. Be back in a bit. It's been about 3 minutes or so. The berries are starting to come up to a simmer and release some of their juices. Not sure if you can see that very well. All right, it's been about 5 minutes. I think that our berry mixture is done. You can see it kind of looks like jam. And we're just gonna set this aside until we're ready for our pie crust. It's time to roll out the pie crust. Okay, and this used to be what completely intimidated me when I was probably your age. So the dough has been chilling and you want it to be pretty firm. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna roll this between pieces of wax paper, all right? That's gonna keep it from, sticking to the board and, doing all that other kind of crazy stuff that makes rolling out pie crust frustrating. We want this to fit in our tin. And I'm gonna use a tart pan. I always use a tart pan. You can certainly use a pie plate. My suggestion, whatever you use, is grease the bottom of the tart pan and or the pie plate, and probably you don't have to do the sides, but definitely the bottom of the pie plate. Just makes it come out easier once it's cooked. All right, so I've got this round of dough, and now I'm going to take my rolling pin and I'm gonna start rolling it out. This one's a little on the soft side, this dough. I think I might have overworked it a little bit in the food processor, which is not optimal. You can add a little bit of flour to the bottom and top of the dough if you want. And then the other thing you do is you flip it over and keep working it that way. I'm gonna keep adding a little bit of flour to make sure that it doesn't stick terribly. All right, let me get this rolled out a little bit thinner. And of course you want it to be round, that's the goal. And you want it to be probably, I'd say about maybe 1/8 of an inch thick, maybe slightly smaller. All right, my dough is sticking a bit. I'm gonna add, that's because it's so soft. Again, I think I overworked it and maybe should have gone with 4 tablespoons of cold ice water as opposed to 5. I think it kind of put it over the edge a little bit. Now, to remedy this, I can certainly stick it back in the refrigerator and chill it a little more, but I'm really anxious to get this sucker into the oven. All right. So, got rough order of magnitude around here. Now what you do is you peel off the top layer of wax paper. Take my pan, and I'm literally just gonna pick it up with the wax paper on the bottom side and flip it on into my tart pan. Now I'm gonna work this around, and then I'm going to pull off the wax paper. All right, I've got the bottom pie crust in the tart pan, and I'm just gonna dock this. This is not a pre-bake. A lot of times you'll do a blind baking on a pie crust. We're not blind baking this one. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in the freezer and let it set up before we add the blackberries and then the top. I'm gonna go ahead and take the top out and start working on rolling that out. All right, now for the top part, I'm gonna add flour on the bottom of our wax paper. And throw a little flour on top. And then we'll start rolling this one. And this is gonna be the top part. And what we're gonna do is find a fancy cookie cutter. I hope that maybe you have a star. That's what I have, and that's what I'm gonna use. And wait till you see how cute this is when you start cutting out pieces. Now, I'm not gonna do a lattice. I'm gonna do a solid piece with cutouts, which will have the same kind of impact as a lattice, but it'll look a whole lot cuter. Let me roll this out. I'll be back shortly. So I took the bottom pie crust out of the freezer, put it on a foil-lined cookie sheet, super important. First, put I'm gonna call this our blackberry and blueberry jam at the bottom. And again, you're not pre-baking this pie crust. It smells so good. I want to just lick the bowl. All right, get all that jam out because that is Flavor Town. All right, and just spread that over the pie crust. Bring it all the way to the edges. All right, and then we're gonna top it with our blackberry mixture. Again, this is blackberries, about a teaspoon of flour and about maybe 1/8 of a cup of granulated sugar. You want to evenly distribute these around the pie. Okay, so before we flip this top on top, get your cookie cutter and go, close to the center and cut out a star. And just put that to the side. And then maybe pick another slot. Grab another one. And let's go ahead and we'll go diagonal and then across. So we're gonna have 5 stars cut out on the top of our pie crust. And it's not an exact science, so, just gauge it. Now we're going to take our pie crust and we're going to flip it on top of the pie. I am gonna go ahead and move this pie though and put it right here for now. All right. That'll help you pick it up And then make sure you don't go wax paper down. All right. And pull off your wax paper. Uh-oh, had a blowout. Gotta pull my stars back together here. All right, so I'm not gonna get too spun up about the fact that my pie crust looks a little wonky. What you wanna do now is press around the top of the pie crust to where it's all sealed and the excess comes off the bottom or the sides. All right, so you're probably wondering, what am I gonna do to fix kind of this mess that I have going on up here? That's why we have these other little stars. So I'm gonna put a star right there. We'll put another star over here. And I kind of got to fix this situation here. What do you think, guys? This pie is now ready to go in the oven as soon as I brush it with some cream and sprinkle it with a little granulated sugar. Then I'm gonna put it again on a foil lined cookie sheet, put it in the oven at 425 for at least 30 minutes. Check it, make sure that it doesn't burn, keep an eye on it. You can turn the heat down if it starts to burn, but you really want it to be nice and bubbly. All right, this bad boy's ready to go in the oven. 35 minutes at 425, and then check it. Watch it carefully. Don't let it burn. Way too pretty to burn. Okay, guys, just took this bad boy out of the oven. Had it in about probably 40 minutes. Set the timer for 35, checked it, but it needed just a little more time. Look how gorgeous this is. Now, you definitely need to let it sit and cool down a bit before you cut into it. But I hope that you will be brave enough to try this blackberry and blueberry pie. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share on social. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Triple C. And remember, to share a meal is to share a life. I hope you'll join me for our next episode. Have an awesome day.